So I want to welcome everybody. I'm hoping that everybody is doing well and had a sweet and wonderful Valentine's Day. The weather is no longer in the single digits, which I'm a little happy about. I don't know about you guys, but it's been pretty cold, and I'm not sure exactly what Puxatawny Phil did or did not see, but I'm completely ready for warmer weather. These single digits are a little on the crazy side. I don't know what you guys are feeling, but well, let's see. Hold on one second. Let me just enter my raffle is up. All right, so we appreciate you being here, of course, and I want to welcome Carlene. I'm really glad she's here. You guys should have some great takeaways from today's presentation. I just moved and I'm unpacking boxes, so I'm going to be taking notes as far as how to unclutter, because I know I have way too many boxes that I'm unpacking, so I'm looking forward to this. I'm hoping you guys are as well. I'll thank you in advance, of course, if we have any technical difficulties. We've done the virtual platform for quite a while, but it seems like there's always some little glitch, so I hope you are patient with us as we navigate the virtual platform. Of course, Master Organizer Carlene E. Fisher-Hoffman will talk about how we accumulate too many things, how to purge what no longer serves us and make room for the many opportunities ahead of us, promoting more room, more space, and more energy. I'm looking forward to that for sure. This Lunch and Learn will be interactive. Carlene uses props, which is a little fun. And then at the end, she will answer questions for you guys. We will try to get to as many as possible. Either put it in the chat, Christina, my colleague, will be manning the chat, or raise your hand. Use the reactions to raise your hand, and we will try to get to as many as possible. So I want to thank you for that. Just be patient. We'll try to get to as many as we can. I'm going to give a quick campus overview, and then my colleague Christina will walk us through a tour of Ruth's house. Normally, this is where we have the lunch and learns, of course, all things COVID. We've had to go virtual, but she'll give you a nice tour to get you a good look at what Ruth's house looks like. And if you have any questions, you could reach out to her directly. Christina will introduce Carlene. Carlene will present, then we'll have our Q&A, and then I will actually pick a raffle winner. We have a $25 gift card to Randall's Greenhouse and Farm in Ludlow, which is one of our favorites. So I'm hoping that you guys enjoy it too. Quickly, of course, my name is Marianne Shelb. I'm the Director of Business Development here on the JGS Life Care campus. It's truly a hidden gem here in Longmeadow. I'd love to take this opportunity to share all the options we have. I'm going to actually go back to sharing my screen just because we have, I just want to show you, a lot of people don't realize what we have on the campus, which I want to be able to share that. So give me a second. Oh, let me see. Share screen. So let me go through right here. All right. Oh, this is actually, we went back to the beginning. So hang on a second. Oh no, you guys can see, half of my little puppy. Isn't she adorable? Can you guys see my little puppy? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go from current slide. So if we look down here, this is our campus. I wanted actually, all right, hold on. It's not showing. Christina, is it showing big?
I just see a blue screen.
No. All right. So hang on one second. I do apologize. These are the technical difficulties that we talk about. So let me do from current slide. Let me go here. Hang on one second. I do apologize. Well, what I'll have to do is I will talk you through, I guess, because it's not actually allowing me to share it from the page I need to get to. So we have a 23-acre campus right here in Longmeadow, Mass. A lot of you know the campus. Some of you don't, and some of you don't realize all that we have to offer on the campus. So I like to be able to share it to let people know that we've got everything from the Levitt Family Jewish Home, of course, which is our 24-hour nursing home that has long-term care, long-term rehab, and it also has secure neighborhoods for the folks with that higher level of memory loss. Of course, we've got the Sossin Center for Rehabilitation, which is a greenhouse model of care, the first greenhouse in Western Mass, all individual rooms, all individual bathrooms, a home-like setting. It's absolutely beautiful. If you haven't seen it in person, of course, after COVID, we try to limit the folks on the campus, but you'll have to come and see it. It really, truly is beautiful and that hidden gem. Ruth's House Assisted Living, of course, I'll let Christina do the tour. Wernick Adult Day Health Program. If you need to, either go to work and you're living with mom or dad, or they're staying with you and you need to go to work or run errands, this is a place where you can go and you could do a couple of hours, a couple of days, and you don't have to worry about where mom or dad is. Your loved one is taken care of in a nice dynamic setting that has a lot of engagement for folks, and you don't have to worry while you either go to work or run errands. Spectrum Home Care and Hospice. Of course, we've got our home health, which is a VNA service. And if you need, PT, OT, speech, or nursing at home, in your own home, or they could even go to, whether it's an assisted living or an independent living, they can go there as well. Each individual plan is personalized for the person, of course, because everybody is different. So they personalize each program for each individual, which is nice. And then, of course, Genesis House Independent Living, which is a subsidized living on our campus. They have the convenience of our campus and our whole continuum of care. So JGS Life Care is 23 acres, almost like a CCRC, like a continuing care retirement community, but we do not have the hefty buy-in. And we also have spend down options, which is something that the CCRCs do not have. So once you're on the campus, you can access any one of the programs that we have, and we help you transition seamlessly. So I think that people don't realize all that we have to offer. But what I'll do now is, Christina, I hope you're going to have better luck sharing your screen than I did. But that is Ruth's House campus in a nutshell. But normally we hold our lunch and learns at Ruth's House Assisted Living. So Christina's going to give us a quick walkthrough of the property, which again, if you have never seen it, let Christina know, and she'd love to be able to tour you. So, all right.
I hope you can see the website. Yes, Miriam?
Yes, you're good.
Oh, perfect. I wanted to, sometimes I show a video, sometimes I do my little elevator pitch, but today I want to show you the website because we did just update this and I think it's looking pretty good. So this is just jgslifecare.org because we are part of the JGS campus. We have all of our memory care, which we have 22 units. And then we also have our traditional assisted living. We have 42 units there. So it's full of information. And then down at the bottom, you can see we do work with Dr. Maya Call. She's a primary care physician that you can opt in to choose to have your loved one see on site. She does like house visits, basically. We also have a dietitian that we work with. And then a really new fun thing is our virtual tour. So this is a Matterport tour, and it can give you kind of at your pace live access. So it's a little bit big of a program, so it's going to take a minute here. But you can really go through to all the different areas and click your way through Ruth's house. So through COVID, we're doing everything virtual here. So if you're not able to get on campus for a tour, which we are doing full tours on campus, open to the public, happy to show you around, you have this option as well. Perfect to show a loved one who maybe can't get out to Long Meadow. Here's my favorite. This is Tweety, our bird. You can see what he's up to. So again, our website is via JGS Life Care, and you will just go to the assisted living page for Ruth's house. So I wanted to introduce Ms. Colleen. Carlene Eve Fisher-Hoffman is the owner of the Clutter Doctor Inc., an award-winning professional organizing business she founded over 20 years ago. Carlene is a local authority on the subject and has been featured locally and nationally in radio shows, newspaper and magazine articles, and television interviews. Carlene has taught classes on conquering clutter at several local colleges and has produced her own TV show. She volunteers her expertise as an advisor for the Western Mass Clutter Support Group, which she started many years ago. She is also an established freelance writer whose work has been published both locally and nationally. Carlene is a featured expert on the local TV show Mass Appeal. She resides in East Meadow with her husband Brad and Scottish Terrier Miles. So welcome, Carlene. Thank you so much.
Hey there, everybody. Good morning. Marianne, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you good. What I'm going to ask is that everybody else, if you could mute yourself, that way there we could make sure we could hear Carlene clearly. But yes, Carlene, you're good. And as a matter of fact, if you want to see her better, you could actually go to the right-hand side where it says view, and you could choose speaker view. So then she'll come up big because she is going to be using props. So right now she's a little square because we're in like Hollywood squares. If you could go to speaker view, she'll appear big and you'll be able to see her props better. So other than that, everybody mute, and Carlene, it's all you. And I'm going to put you on speaker as well.
Okay, great. So hello again, everybody. Great to be here. Clutter causes a lot of stress. We love our things, yet we find ourselves accumulating more. And it's hard to appreciate what we have because we have too much. When you let go of that clutter and make a change in your habits, you reduce the amount of stress that you encounter on a day-to-day basis. And that allows you to love your space more. So every day we get up and we shower and we prepare for the day's activities. And along the way, maybe we have some family responsibilities, volunteer activities, or other things that we need to get done. We have so many things that demand our attention that we not only get cluttered in our homes, but we lose the time that we need to connect with ourselves, our family, and our friends. And as our daily life unfolds, we lose track of what we need. Maybe you've given importance to other matters rather than taking care of the status of your surroundings, your thoughts, or your behaviors. So as we move into spring, now really is a great time to start thinking about some of those organizing projects that maybe you've been putting off. So when the nicer weather is finally here, we can focus on getting outside again. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to love your space again. We're going to talk about how we accumulate clutter, why we accumulate it, and why it's important to let go of what no longer serves us. I'm going to give you some easy steps for getting organized, including my 3-step approach to getting it done. Everything that we talk about today can be applied to projects that you may be working on in your home, in your office, if you're planning a move or you just moved. We'll also go over a little teeny bit about schedules and priorities, and I'm going to close with the 3 key components to keep the clutter from coming back. Because once you get yourself all organized, we don't want you going back to what I call the dark side. So we always think that we're going to get to decluttering later because it's not important in our lives right now. Or we think that it's going to take too long to do. But the longer you wait, the more difficult it becomes. Maybe we accumulate things because we don't have time to think about whether or not we need something, have the space for it, or have the time to manage it. Because everything that you have in your home or in your office, you have to manage in some way. You have to clean it, you have to store it, and possibly have to move it. Maybe we forget about things because our minds get cluttered with other things. So it's time to learn how to evaluate your everyday surroundings in order to create peace, space, and gain time in your day. So let's talk a little bit about accumulation. There's so many reasons why we accumulate clutter. Sometimes with time passing, we forget about what we have. an area in our home gets cluttered and we start stuffing things into other areas. We forget about what we have. Think about that front hall closet. You stuff and you stuff and you stuff because it's such a great little spot to put things. But that closet gets so full that you don't know what's in there anymore. I had a client that loved to do baking for her church. So every Sunday she would bake a little something that she could bring with her. And her kitchen was so cluttered when we started working together. And when we were done with the kitchen project, and this is no lie, we accumulated or got a hold of 13 spatulas. And yes, 13. Because every time she went to go do that baking, she couldn't find a spatula because she didn't have a home for it. So she would go out and get another one. Now we know that sometimes things happen in our life and it causes us to get a little depressed and we don't take care of ourselves. Our things accumulate because we don't feel like dealing with them. Or by having all that stuff around us, we think that that will help us feel better. We know that downsizing can cause clutter because you're trying to fit the same amount of space into a smaller area. But upsizing can cause clutter too because you think that you have more space than you really have. So some things that we'll talk about a little later. Having clutter around can cause health and safety issues. Dust and mold can form, causing us to have breathing problems. And having those cardboard boxes about, well, those are perfect little homes for mice and bugs and other little things. Yucky. Having things laying around on your floor or on your countertop can pose safety problems as well, because we may trip over things or knock things to the floor. Accumulating seems to be so easy for us to do, very easy, but letting go is so difficult and unnatural because we're compelled to keep everything because we fear that letting go, we're going to regret it. So we avoid doing it. So what are the benefits of getting organized? Well, being organized can make you feel healthy because now you have that clean air to breathe and you're living in a greater sense of peace because you're not overwhelmed with your physical surroundings. Basically, your clutter is turned into calm. And once you're organized, it's so easy to maintain because you can find things easily and you know exactly where to put them back. This morning, I was running late because I had an unexpected guest. No big deal. I got ready in lickety-split time because I knew exactly where everything was. And guess what? There's not a mess in my bathroom right now because I had a spot to put everything back where it goes. Being organized creates a more peaceful environment to be in. It creates an environment that you want to be in, not just because you have to be there, but because you want to be there because it's just so free of clutter and peaceful. So think about where you would be without that clutter. What would you be doing if you didn't have it? Getting organized is learning how to clear out the stuff in your life. So we're going to talk now about how to prepare to work on an organizing project. Now, one of the first things that you need to do is to pick somebody to work with. Maybe you would want to work with a close friend or somebody like me, a professional organizer. So whoever you choose, you want to make sure that it's somebody that doesn't have any emotional attachments to your items because they may not be able to look at things objectively. So typically, when I'm working on a project and there's a husband and wife, that sometimes can be a little bit of a trouble. We've got the headbutting situation going on. So sometimes it's better just to bring somebody from the outside in, like I said, even a close friend who doesn't have, an attachment to your stuff. That way they can help you look at things objectively. if you choose to work with a professional organizer, they'll give you some ideas and techniques for each project that you work on. And they will show you ideas on how and why to store things a certain way. But they'll also keep you on track for your goals. So then that leads into, what is your goal? So by having a purpose behind any activity, you will reach your goal. So maybe you're frustrated with your basement, or you can't open, we just talked about that front hall closet without stuff falling out. Maybe you can't put your car in the garage. So whatever's bothering you the most is probably the area that you should start with. And once you pick that particular area, you want to stay with that area until you have finished it. Because once you start seeing progress, you're going to get really excited, and you're going to want to jump around and go do a little of this and a little of that in other areas in your home. And the problem with that is that all that jumping around will cause you not to get that sense of accomplishment that you need to keep going. So you got to stick with one area, finish it to the end. So next, you want to schedule time in your calendar to work on your project. By writing things down, you're more likely to achieve them. So you all knew that you had to tune in on Zoom today to hear me speak. It's the same type of thing. Why wouldn't you schedule in some time to work on your project? As we discussed, getting organized can be extremely stressful and very overwhelming. So by taking your project and breaking it down into smaller, more reachable goals, that will help you get to the final destination. So what I'm getting at is, instead of planning a full day to go through the garage, you want to schedule in small increments of time, and you'll go through little boxes, 3, 4 at a time, each time you schedule little times with yourself. It took a long time for your clutter to accumulate. It's going to take a while for you to go through it. So give yourself a break. Again, little steps to get to that big goal. Another thing that you could do to keep yourself motivated is to take a picture of your clutter and then put it somewhere where you can see it every day. In the kitchen, on the fridgie, in the bathroom, on your bedroom dresser, wherever you can see it. So this causes two things to happen. First, it gets you really aggravated because you can see how messy your room was. But more importantly, it helps you see progress. So you see the first instance of when your area was a complete disaster, and then you go back and you look at it as you work, and you can see that, oh yeah, I cleared out that area, that little spot right there, and it looks pretty good. I can't wait to see, how much farther I get. So take a picture, post it. Now, one of the first things that people like to do, it's time to get to work now. One of the first things people like to do is run to the store and get buckets and bins, and sometimes even pieces of furniture to organize all their things in. This is one of the worst things that you can do. Do not do that. And I will tell you why later, so that way you have to stay on the Zoom to find out. All right, let's talk about my 3-step approach to getting it done. You're going to need some paper for this, so you can write it down. So the first step is to examine your space and the items within it. Now remember, you want to create a more defined and peaceful surrounding to be in. So you want to review your items and look at them and look at your space and ask yourself those typical questions, which I know you all know. How long have I had this? Is it outdated? When was the last time I used this? Will I ever use it? Does it still fit? Maybe you haven't been that size for how many years? Does it still work? I know a lot of people say, well, I can fix it. but how long has it been broken for and you still haven't fixed it? Can the item be reproduced if you let it go? Or is it irreplaceable? Can the item serve more than one purpose? So, maybe we're looking through a trunk of items, but that trunk now can be repurposed as a coffee table. Chest of drawers, maybe that can be storage as an end table. So how can you repurpose those items? And then lastly, my favorite thing, is this item exciting only because I'm looking at it right now? I haven't seen this item because it's been in my basement for 15 years, but yet it's so exciting to see it. So these are some things to think about as you're looking through your items. Now you want to keep in mind that holding on to things that don't fit your lifestyle anymore doesn't really justify the money that you spent on them, because you're spending money to store them in your home. So keep that in mind. Now, if you're afraid of letting go of something, ask yourself why. Maybe the item reminds you of a special memory. Maybe you feel like you can't let go of it because somebody special gave it to you. You need to be aware of the connections that you have to your belongings and why you would choose to keep them or to let them go. So even useful or beautiful things become clutter if you have too many of them and you don't have a specific use for them. And by the way, if you think you might need it someday, you would have already been using it. So keep that in mind as well. Don't let your possessions rule you. Now, you should only be keeping those things that you love and enjoy seeing and using, and of course, have the space for. You want to keep these things because they're meaningful to you and not because you feel like it's your obligation to keep them. So when my mom passed away, I was the one that was responsible for going through all of her things. I was the only child, and my dad had passed away previously, so it was up to me to handle the estate. And I realized at that time that I couldn't and I shouldn't keep everything because there was a lot of stuff. My mom collected antiques and dolls and all kinds of crazy, dusty things. So how did I decide what I was going to keep? I already have a full house. I was married at the time, so I had all of my stuff. How did I go through that? How did I make those decisions? So I thought today I would show you some examples of how you would do something like this, or if you have clients that are downsizing and moving into the assisted living, how can you help them and tell them how to make some decisions? All right, so first of all, we were talking about keeping items, feeling obligated. Maybe they bring back a special memory. So I have a Howard Johnson's mug right here. It's kind of cute, little retro, but look how big this bottom is. Now, this came with some hot chocolate. So we know it holds hot items, but the problem is that the base is too big to fit in the cup holder in my car. Why do I still have this? Because this particular item brings back a really awesome memory. I got this on my first date with my husband, and we went skiing, and he went and got some hot chocolate, and it came in this cute mug. So I hang on to this because it brings the memory back that I like. Yes, I could take a picture of it if I wanted to, but I really want to have, this to hold on to, and plus I get to show you. All right, now let's talk about those things that were at my mom's house. So first of all, we have this little cannon, and it's made out of metal. And it sat on my parents' TV at every house that they owned. Next, I have this tiny little depression glass. Could be used for a little flower vase. Could be used as a little shot glass. Very cute, nice etching in it. And I have a Occupy Japan creamer. Very nice. Again, could be used for cream, could be used as a little flower vase. So which out of those 3 items would you have chose to hang on to? And don't answer that, that's a rhetorical question. If you chose the black cannon, you would be right, because that item evokes a special memory to me of remembering it on top of every single TV that my parents, lived with. This traveled with them everywhere. The other 2 items, they were just sitting on the shelves in the dining room for my mom to collect. And of course, they were covered in dust. So yeah, bye. Okay, next. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. We have a little sandwich glass shaker who doesn't have a match, but it is quite cute. It has some beautiful cuts in it. And if I take off the top, I could use it as a bud vase if I don't break it beforehand. I also have crystal candlesticks that hold both tapers and votives. How cool is that? And I have this Occupy Japan figurine that sat on a shelf, and every time my mom looked at it, she giggled. God knows why. So which out of those 3 items would you choose to keep? If you chose the Occupy Japan figurine, you were correct. And that's because, again, it evoked a special memory of my mom. All right, the last set. We have a sake cup. I don't know what else more to say to that. I could use it as a little bud vase. Cute little goddess figurine. I don't really know anything about this. And a little monkey that sat next to the cannon on the TV set. So out of the 3 items, which one would you have chose? And I know you all know which one. Yes, the monkey, because he sat with the cannon. So that's how you go about trying to figure out, does this provoke a memory, or are you just like, eh? Okay. So got that little step done. First step out of the 3 is to examine your space. And I believe we're still examining. So how about the things from when your kids were living with you? What do you do with all of that? Well, you let your kids decide. So you're going through everything, start a box for each kid and label it. And when you're done sorting, you want to ask them to stop by your house, take a look at the boxes, or make them take the boxes with them. They're going to give you all kinds of excuses about how they can't, find the time to come over. Basically, what you need to do is put a date on it. So by this date, if you don't come, the stuff is out of here. There's going to be a few instances where, you have some kids that maybe moved across country, Marianne. So, we give them a little leeway, but if they're local, you got to set a date on it and have them come and get the stuff. Now, what about those items that bring back the memories? Yes, it's okay to keep some of them, as we just talked about, but do you have to keep everything? Keeping a memory and letting go of the object is a process of growth, and you should allow yourself that. Sometimes you could take pictures of those memories. I know my mom liked to collect sweatshirts. So every time she went to a musical or a play, she would buy a sweatshirt. Or if she was at a craft fair and there was those hand painted sweatshirts, she would buy those. There were so many of them. And I ended up taking pictures of all of them, and I have a nice little mini photo album of them. And then I donated the sweatshirt, because again, you can't keep everything. All right, so the first step in the 3-step process is to examine your space. The second step is to diagnose your space. And what does that mean? That means it's time to decide what you're going to do with your items based on how you answered the questions that we went over. And keeping in mind what activities you plan on using your space for. So let's talk about spare bedroom. Are you using that as a bedroom? Are you using that as a Zoom area? Are you using that for your ironing board? Are you using that for crafting? Are you using that for, yes, all of the above? What are you doing in the area? Because once you start going through your things, that will help define it. You're going to ask yourself, you're going to go through your things, you're going to decide what's going to be kept in that room, what's going to be moved to another area in your house, and you're going to move it there. You're going to pass it on to family and friends. You're going to donate, which, by the way, almost everything that you own can be donated. It's just a matter of finding the unusual spots to donate them to, or you're going to put it in the trash. Now, if you can't decide on a particular item, that's okay. Put it aside. Let those things pile up. Realize, though, that you're not only sorting through the clutter that you have, but you're sorting through yourself and your memories. And I know holding on to those things can keep you linked to your past. So one of the things, actually, I have 2 things that I have hung on to that really serve no purpose here in this household. One of them is a frying pan. I'm not going to show you today, but it's an electric frying pan. And I have it up above my refrigerator in that spot that, you know, is such a pain in the neck to get. I keep it in there. And the reason I have it is because every Sunday, my mother cooked my father a steak in that frying pan. And no matter what, I just can't let that go. I need to have that physical item. There were other items that over time I was able to let go of. And then the other item that I hung on to was this. So this is just your basic plastic dish. And it's peach in color, serves absolutely no purpose in this household other than showing you and telling you about my story. So this hung out underneath my mom's kitchen sink. And that's where she stores the sponges that she cleans toilets with. And Thanksgiving rolls around, and my mom just loved to entertain for Thanksgiving. And this particular year, my aunt decided that she was going to be the one to do the dishes instead of my mom. She wanted to help out. Well, guess what, everybody? She went into the old pink dish, grabbed a sponge, and washed all the dishes with the toilet bowl sponge. Yeah, she did really. So everything had to get re-washed. That's it. We did not have a dishwasher. My parents were very down to basic. So serves no purpose in the home, but a very good story to be able to tell. So I like to hang on to it. So when you're purging your life of these physical possessions, you need to keep in mind that your spirit allowed you to gain those possessions and to gain possession of your things. So you need to be responsible of their proper disposal, just like what I talked about. So just keep in mind that there are plenty of charities around that will be happy to receive your donation. And I know, you know, there's the big box places, so to speak, but there's a lot of smaller organizations that are looking for your donations. It's just a matter of going on the internet and making a little bit of a search. So we had examine, diagnose, and now our last step for getting organized is prescribe. So now that you know what you have, it's time to decide how you're going to store those remaining items. This is when you go to the store and buy the buckets, the bins, little pieces of furniture to store everything in, because now you know what you have, how much you have, what size container to get, and you have a general idea of where you're going to store these items. What I like about waiting till the end as well is if you have a particular object that you want to store away, you can actually, measure it and get the perfect fit. And I have gone as far as actually bringing things with me to the store, so I know that I get the proper fit of bin. So what I would like to do now is to talk to you about how to go shopping for the proper bin. What are the things to look for? So first of all, a lot of people like to go to the office supply store and get some boxes, paper boxes to store in, or go to the famous meat place in the area and use those boxes to store items in. Do not do that. That's not good to do. Here's why. Cardboard is typically what we call corrugated cardboard. And what that means is that it's two pieces or several pieces of paper that are glued together. And as you can see, over time, this particular cardboard came apart. And so if my piece of cardboard came apart, that means if I had some stuff stored and that was in a box form, the box would have collapsed. And then the items that were in the box would have probably been broken. The other thing about cardboard or corrugated cardboard is that it's glued together. So you get several layers that are glued together, and that glue attracts tiny microscopic organisms. So that helps the box to deteriorate over time. Also, the other thing is if you store cardboard in your garage or sometimes in your basement, fabulous bedding for mice. They love it. So stay away from cardboard. You're going to want to go to get plastic bins. Now, when you're searching for a bin, you want to take the top off and you want to look down inside the bin. And you want to make sure that the sides of the bin, as you look in and look down, that it goes straight down. Sometimes the manufacturers make them so they're wider on the top and shorter on the bottom. And that makes storing a pain. So you want to make sure to look for that. Now, here is your basic clear shoebox bin. The top comes completely off, which is what I highly recommend. I do not recommend the bins or shoebox where the lid is attached. You want it to come completely off so you can just whip it off, do your thing, call it the day. So much easier to control. Clear bins are good because you can see inside, but you always want to label your bin. Even though you can tell what's in there, label it because it helps your mind find what's there faster. The other thing you want to look for is what does the top of the bin look like? So as you can see here, you go really close, you can see these little stripes. Those are actually grooves in the bin. This will help when you put another bin of the same type on top, help them situate and grab each other and stack better because it has those grooves. So what kind of top does your bin have? Next, this is one of my favorite organizing products. So it's a shoebox bin, but it has a full slide out. All right, ladies, this is perfect for makeup and things like that to put underneath your sink in the bathroom. It has a nice groove on the top, so it's stackable and nice and sturdy. Now, let's talk about this drawer. On this particular bin, the drawer comes completely out. But there's going to be times where you're not going to want that drawer to come out. So some things to keep in mind when you're shopping. Do you want that drawer to come out or do you want it stationary? If there's any guys on the Zoom here today, I know a lot of you may have the unit that goes on top of your workbench that has all those tiny little drawers. And you can put your screws and your nails and your bolts in there. Great little organizer for the workbench, but you've got to make sure that there's a catch on those drawers. So if you happen to hit it with your elbow, everything will stay intact. If it's a drawer that pulls out completely, you could be in trouble. So some things to keep in mind. If we have any crafters out there, we have these little separated, organizers that you may use to put your beads in, or maybe you like to fish and you use this as part of your tackle box. So you want to make sure, especially you beaders out there, if there's any, see how I just pulled out these two pieces? You want to make sure that you cannot do that. So you want to get something like this where it's nice and firm. If it's removable, your beads will go underneath that little slip and get all mixed up. So these are some things that you think about when you're going to shop for a bin. So the size, what does it look like inside? What does the top look like? Is it stationary or does it come apart? Things to think about. And then the other thing that I like to mention is that don't get yourself all caught up about color coding everything. Well, I'm going to get red for Christmas and I'm going to get orange for Halloween. Don't do it. Biggest mistake. Because you know what's going to happen? Next year, when you go to buy a red bin, they're not going to have one. So just stick with one simple type and then you'll be all set. And plus, it looks better just to have everything the same in uniform. All right, so now you've cleared this space. You've got everything organized and you actually have room in your cabinet, or you have room in your closet, or you have room in your room. Just because you have room doesn't mean that you need to fill it again. Just be happy with that space that you have. Be happy to have more room to wiggle around. Now is a good time to run the vacuum so you can create a nice, fresh, clean palette to work with. And again, remember, we're creating that nice, peaceful space that's going to be functional and inviting to be in. Put some new paint up on the walls while you're at it. All right, so that's the organizational part. We're going to switch gears just a little tiny bit. This may not apply to some of your clients, but it might apply to you. We're going to talk about your daily life. Many of us complain that we don't have enough time in the day to do the things that we want to do, not just the stuff that we have to do. So how do you get around all this? Well, first, what you want to do is look at your day in a different way. So instead of thinking of your day as one big block of time, like this, big old blocks of time, you want to take it and break it down into smaller, more manageable increments. Like this. So just like your organizing project, you're not going to take a day to organize that garage. You're breaking it down into smaller, more manageable steps. Same thing with your calendar. Breaking it down from that one big day into smaller, more manageable steps. by the timelines. Second, you want to map out each day, noting the things that are consistent. Again, wake up, shower, I go work out, I have to get to work, this is what time we eat dinner, all of that, get it down on paper. And by doing that simple task, that'll see where, if any, you have holes in your schedule that you'll be able to work on some organizing projects, looking ahead to see where those spots are. Maybe you complain about never catching up with your to-do list. So what you need to know is that what are your priorities and when are you overdoing it? You don't have to be involved with every single project. I'm giving you permission to say no, by the way. Cut down on those things that aren't bringing you pleasure anymore so that you can do the things that you really want to do that will make you happy. I find that a lot of people, especially when they get older, they do not keep a to-do list. And I highly advise that people do that. It keeps you organized, yes, but the main thing is that it gets it all out of here. It gets it all out of your head and down onto the paper. So clears this up for other good stuff. Get out of your head, get it down onto paper, helps you focus more. And it helps you attain any of your goals a lot quicker too. We talked about that earlier. Now, each week you should be reviewing your schedule beforehand to see where you got to be and where and when you got to be. Because then maybe there are some things that you can do on the way or on the way back. So always check ahead where you're going to be. So while I'm not covering office stuff or incoming mail, I do want to go over a few office products because I think for some of you this might be beneficial. You should see the clutter that's going on right now in this house. Don't tell anybody. Okay, so you collect catalogs. They come in the mail and you like to hang on to them because you think maybe you might want to order some stuff. Somebody's birthday is going to come up. There's some ideas, whatever. So you all have seen these around, right? So we have a cardboard one here, and it's great for collecting stuff. I like it because it's lightweight. And then we have a plastic one here. That's really nice. It's lightweight. This is your hint right here. And then we have a heavy duty plastic right here, which is more expensive, but it has a rubber bottom on the right here, which is nice. And it also has a pull tab, a pull hole. So out of those three products, which one would be your number one choice? If you chose the cardboard one, believe it or not, you were right. So I know I said, don't store things in cardboard because it gets yucky. But this is actually okay to use because it'll be in your living space and you can see it every day and monitor it. The heavy plastic one is another good choice because of the bottom and the pull tab if you're willing to spend the money for it. This product here is a bad product. And this comes from experience. So I used to store my phone book in this. And every time I went to put the phone book away, the pages would get caught up in the hole. And then my phone book got trashed. So something to think about. This is what you look for when you go shopping. You have some files that you want to store on top of your desk. We have these cute little stepladder holders, right? I like this one because it's small and compact. This one here, which is a lot larger. And I like it because it's a little wider. It will hold the files better. But if you noticed, so which one would you choose out of the two? If you picked the bigger, more bulkier one, you were right. Because this has the dreaded holes in between each section. And I don't know if you can see that or not. But again, if you're putting files in there, they're going to get all caught up. All right, lastly, this is a great one. You have some CDs you want to store on top of your desk. You want to listen to some music while you're at work. Or am I beyond CDs, right? Anyway, remember these? You've got the little slots. I find clients that like to use these. So there's this item right here, or it's just your basic black cube. Out of the two products, which one would you choose or recommend? Well, if you chose this black one, the black cube, you would be correct. The reason why is you can fit more in this because it's bigger, a little bit bigger, but it doesn't have the slots in it, so there's more room in it. But the other thing is, I find that most people that own these, the CDs are out on the floor, they're on the countertop, they're never in this because it's a pain in the neck to use. You have to take the time to put the CD in the slot, and most people are too busy to do that. So remember, keep it simple. Simple to use, works. All right, so you're getting organized. Your 3 steps were you're going to examine your space, you're going to diagnose the situation, and then you're going to prescribe, meaning you're going to go out and get your buckets and bins. Now we're going to close with the 3 key components to keep the clutter from coming back. So first, everything that you own should have its own place. You put things that work, you put things away that works best for you. That way you know where to look for something and you know exactly where to put it back. We have a flashlight that we walk the dog with, and it's always on my husband's desk. So I know exactly where to find that flashlight. Our keys are in a certain area. My hairspray is in a certain area. Everything is where it goes, and I know where to put it back. Second, get sober. And what do I mean by that? I mean, you need to be more aware of what you're buying and what you're saving and why you're doing that. So just because an item is good doesn't mean it's good for you. Question things that are free and don't be rushed into a purchase decision because it has to be made by the end of the day. Remember that everything you own is something that you have to manage in some way. We already mentioned this. You have to clean it, you have to store it, and in some instances, you have to move it. So you got to remind yourself of that anytime you want to make a purchase or you want to bring something new into your home. And also, while I'm thinking of it, getting organized isn't necessarily about getting rid of everything that you own. That's not what it's about. It's about creating new habits and putting your life back together to make it easy for you to function. And then the last step is, if you take it out, put it back. Even if you're in a hurry, take the time to do it right then and there. I know it sounds simple, but a lot of us fail to do that. And by doing this, this will keep your home looking organized and clutter-free. So staying organized is a lifelong process. You have to continually review as your life changes. You're born, you grow up, you go to college, you get married, you have kids, you retire, maybe you move. All these different situations causes some type of a disruption in your life that may cause clutter and have you reassess what you need to do. So just staying on top of it, need to continually review. So I hope that this inspires you to get started today and loving your space again. I hope you learned a couple good tips. And what we're going to do right now is I'm going to take just a quick 2-second break so I can move my laptop. And Marianne and Christina are going to put up my contact information, and then we're going to open the floor up for questions and answers. And I want to make sure everybody has a chance to get, something that they need before we leave.
Perfect. All right. So everybody, if you have questions please either raise your hand or put them in the chat. I'm going to put up, I believe that Christina, can you see Carlene's contact information? Okay, perfect. So what I'd like to do is, we've got the chat. If you guys can just put any of your questions in the chat or raise your hand. You could actually go down and there's a little thing that says reaction, raise your hands. As soon as Carlene gets situated, if we could, just have some of these. I've got, we've just got someone saying it was a great presentation, great. Again, on the little bar where you would do share screen or mute or stop video. Oh, there she is back. So I will stop sharing this. We've got a couple people that says great presentation, Carlene. And it was a great presentation. Of course, you know that I just moved and I've had way too many boxes. So we've been trying to declutter and organize, and now we have even more tips. So that's great. I want to see, I don't see anybody's hand up. Let me see. Oh, we got Lisa. Lisa, unmute yourself. And then, yes, please.
Okay, well, that was awesome. I'm smiling a lot, just thinking of the mess I've created. But how do you attack your office, which used to be a bedroom, and you have stuff on the walls because they're from your grandchildren and they're beautiful little sketches and way too much? Like, do you just treat the wall as you would treat everything else? That's my question. Too much stuff that, how do you pare it down? And is there a rule of thumb for an office to keep it simple?
So, first of all, addressing the walls. If you have too many items on your walls, it can help you feel closed in your space. So you do want to cut down the amount of items that you have on your walls. And I know that they're probably all your favorites. So you need to pick out the extra special ones to hang. And then the other favorites can be stored away in a portfolio. So you still have them, you're not getting rid of them, but you can keep them up on the wall. The other thing that you could do for those is put up a bulletin board, and you could switch them out from time to time, or you could make a small picturescape where the frames that you put up are interchangeable. So you could take out the art and replace it from time to time. So that's one way of getting around it. And remember, you want to store in odd numbers. So you're hanging in 3, 5, like that. As far as general office organization, you'll notice that I didn't really talk about that much, because I feel as though that's the hardest area in the home or in just, your office to get through, because there's so much stuff. And papers, they accumulate space, but it's different than when you're going through, mugs and stuff, because it's harder to go through and it takes longer to go through. So how do you do it? Just like any organizing project, you start at one end of the room and work your way around. I typically recommend working from left to right, because most of us read from left to right. And if you start in that fashion, it's easy to pick up where you left off and you're not jumping around. As far as the papers go, when I work with clients, I do, and I hate to admit it, but I do a dump and go, because they're so difficult to go through. Time consuming is the word I'm looking for. So time consuming. So I do a dump and go with the papers. And then I have them do that with another activity that they enjoy doing. So typically they're going through papers while they're watching TV. They're going through papers while they're watching a movie, or they're going through papers while they're listening to their favorite type of music. So that way it's not as daunting.
Okay.
Great. Carlene, that was great. All right, so that was a question from Lisa. Christina, do we have any questions in the chat?
Yes, I just had Betsy was saying my mom inherited from 7 people too many special letters and historic items, like one of the old photographs, how to deal with it all. So I think you touched on that a little bit, but if you had any other tips, Betsy would like that.
Right. So there's a couple things with that. So first of all, if it's truly historic or family tree worthy, then it is your responsibility to hang on to it. You can get it all organized into albums or portfolios, but you should be hanging on to it because it's your family guts. So you need to hang on to it. If we're talking just general photos, like you got a ton of photos, it's kind of like going through papers. You go through them when you're doing something else, watching the TV, listening to music, and sort them into different boxes. So a lot of people that I work with, they have kids. So we're going through and we're setting up boxes for each child. So they have, each child has photos, and then you can create albums that way with those photos. And then sometimes you find doubles that you can let go of, things like that. I hope that answers your question.
Perfect. And now I know, yes, Celeste, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
So can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I have an idea about the boxes. If you post them on Marketplace, people will come and pick them up because there's always someone moving. So if you put them on Marketplace, and usually people put them free, you'll get them all out of your garage. You won't have to break them down to get rid of them. It's really a time saver as well, and it's helpful to other people.
Right, and there's also the buy nothing groups. So
Yep.
there's a buy nothing East Long Meadow. There's a buy nothing Long Meadow. Those are places that you can let go of items as well, as long as you're not looking to get money for them.
Correct.
Facebook Marketplace is typically where you ask for, you sell items and ask for money. And I would tell you that I have had great luck with Facebook Marketplace, and my clients have had great luck with Facebook Marketplace. Hopefully they will not change their platform. I typically tell people that's cash and carry, which means they need to pay cash and they have to come and pick it up. And I know some of you may be wigging out about having people come to your home. You can meet them at a local coffee shop or in front of the police station to get around that.
That's great.
More questions. This is your time. I'm here. I want to make sure everybody goes home with answers and tips.
All right. Anybody else? Anything else in the chat, Christina?
No, nothing now. Just lots of thank yous and awesome presentations.
Right. Oh, Lisa's got another question. Lisa, go ahead. That's okay. Maybe somebody else has the same question. So no, go ahead.
Do you recommend, like, okay, this week I'm going to do one project or start something, and you got to start somewhere. One time I read start as you walk in the door, which I don't really like that idea, but how do you get started, and what do you do? I mean, I know what you do, but
you pick an area in your home that's really irritating you the most. Typically, that's not the office.
for me, it's the office.
All right. So then start there, but you got to remember it's going to take you some time to get through that. It's going to be a little bit different than if you chose your kitchen or your bedroom, because the items aren't as physical, especially when it comes to papers and stuff. But you're going to want to start at one end of your office and work your way around, again, typically left to right. And you're going to want to go through things and sort them into piles. Maybe you have office supplies, pens, markers. You're going to want to separate all of that out. Down the road, once you have all your pens together, you're going to actually want to go through them and make sure they all work. So you can do that in front of the TV. You want to sort everything into their topics. And then when you're ready to do storing, figure out where everything's going to go and then bin it up.
Just start.
Yes, just start. And then you can go on the internet too to look, look for some ideas, some storage ideas. Just keep in mind that some of the ideas that you may see may not necessarily be realistic. So you have to make sure that what you're looking at is something that, that you can do, that you will like. So you just got to be careful not to get into the gimmicky organizing ideas, because typically those ideas don't last. Keep it simple, keep it basic.
Okay.
Some great points. Carlene, this was absolutely a pleasure. I really enjoyed having you here. I really think everybody else did as well by the comments. And somebody just asked, I know she came in a little bit late. We will have a recording. Our IT department actually uploads it to our website under education. It'll go, all of the lunch and learns that we've had are uploaded there. So I will send a link to everybody who registered, which will be great. Before I get to the raffle, I want to just say that next month on Wednesday, March 16th, Greg Sheehan from the Wealth Transition Collection will actually have a leadership training. So that should be very interesting. I will send out a flyer with a little blurb and give you a little bit more information, but right now it's just a teaser as leadership training. So I'm looking forward to that as well. But Carlene, this is fantastic.